Yo, welcome back to another video, guys. So this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to take out your transmission, the proper way to do it, a little bit of tips and tricks, and I'm replacing the clutch, the flywheel, and a few other things. If y'all want me to leave a tutorial, a little video after this one explaining how to put some drive shaft components, I'm going to do a shifter bearing, and I'm going to be aligning the clutch and everything that you're going to want to do properly. But before you start this job, make sure that you have everything ordered. Get you some sandpaper, some high temp grease, some anti-seize, and just make sure that you have everything that you want to do and feel comfortable doing ready by your side so that you don't have to make trips. And I'm gonna leave a link in the description to everything that I bought for this particular model in the car with the transmission, which is a 1999 323i swapped with a Getrag250, I believe. So it's going to be a little bit different than maybe yours, but just make sure that you pay attention and ask questions. And if you take your transmission off and your clutch looks like this and your flywheel looks like that, then don't worry. You can use things like this and upgraded flywheels. Just make sure that it's properly fit, which I'm gonna leave it, like I said, a link in the description of everything that I personally ordered and all the information about my car. But I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how to take your exhaust off. And you're gonna take there's a little cross member bar that you're gonna want to take off to probably get better access to that exhaust. And you're gonna take your drive shaft out, and there's gonna be everything step by step on how to do it. And if I miss anything in this video, there are videos out there. There's also ways to look it up online. And I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, make sure to
right now I'm taking the exhaust off, and once I get the exhaust off, I will move over to the drive shaft that's in the middle there. But I'm gonna have to move the car and get it higher up in the air. As I'm here right now, I'm just gonna unbolt the exhaust. So once I get that done, I will move the car, get it in a better spot for me to work under it and get it higher up in the air. But y'all stay tuned.
Alright, so I low-key got a good bit of room. I already got these loose. I'm doing to waste a little bit of time. You can already see the gray metally looking color out of it. I went ahead and unbolted the 4 transmission mount pretty much bolts right here. So you can see I can move this shit up and down and whatnot with the jack. But that gives me more room to get up in here if you lower this down. If you can't get these bolts out back here, this is the easiest way I found to do it. You take this, loosen it all the way back, put it on like 1 to 2 thread, okay? And then I was struggling with this bolt right here, the top bolt, for like literally 30 minutes just now. And I found if you break it loose from right here, you can take your hand and put it back here and hold the nut that holds it in, right? And just twist it out. Because once you break it loose, that's not gonna be tight for real. You just loosen it with your hand. Then I went ahead and slid it that way. And I'm about to take it apart right here and just take this whole thing out right here. That way I can have access to this. I have to replace this. And then after that, well, I'm just gonna drop the whole transmission and do that while the transmission's on the ground and I have it out here. But I'm gonna go and unbolt all these next. It's gonna take me a little while. This is what a bad one looks like, obviously. All right, then you got your new one. And what it does is you got these 3 little forks on your transmission. You take your drive shaft out, obviously,
take your bolts out, and you'll replace it. And it does not matter what holes it goes in, just make sure that you line them up. Three will be inside of the transmission type, like right here, and then 3 will be connected to your drive shaft when you put it on to tighten your drive shaft down.
For you guys to do is get like a paint pen or something, some type of marker, and just mark your threads right here, right in there. So you're gonna want to mark straight all the way, right from here to here, so that way when you go to put it back on, you make sure, oh, this line is lined up with these threads and those spinals are lined up inside correctly. So just mark it as evenly as you can. To get that one, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all right now, you need to create you something. So you get you an impact and you get you a long ass extension and you put a little swivel on it, and then you got your 14 e-torque or whatever it's called, right? But I had to literally like stick it up in here and push it up, because the heat shield's gonna be in your way. You're gonna take a little bit of metal off of it, but it ain't, it's just a heat shield for your headers and all that. But you put it on there, put it up in here, and I maneuvered it and kind of hammered it on like that with my hand, and then put the impact and then did that. But that's all your bolts loose. You know, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all different too, so be careful when you go. Just don't, if you don't feel comfortable marking them, like mark small, big, you know, or be like 10, 14, you know, number them, because they're different sizes here. And then don't forget to take out your parking, I think it's the reverse light here. It goes up in here, this black thing. You just push this little metal thing in and pull it out from there. And first thing you're probably gonna want to do is get this though, this little solenoid thing. It's 2 little bolts right here, I think it's 10 mil, and then you just lay that out. I have every bolt loose. I'm about to take them all out and try to get my transmission backwards and take it out. So I'm gonna do that. I'll be back, guys.
1 eternity later.
The way, so this heat shield, before you go and do any of this, make sure you take the bolts out, because look, a bolt kept getting stuck right in here. You can see it, and I literally had to get under the car and lay under there like this and use my body and move it around and pull it, because you're gonna have a hard time clearing this bullshit and the heat shield right here. That's the hardest shit of this for some reason. And you're gonna want to jack your engine up a little bit, but you're gonna have to loosen these engine mounts right here. There's a engine mount right here, and then there's one on top that you have to go and loosen. There's a nut on top right there. But that I mean, it came out, bro. It was just this thing right here kept getting stuck in the hole, and it wouldn't come out, because you have to clear that. You have to pull that all the way out and clear the clutch just for it to drop, right? So I had to do that, and I fucked it up for like this black stuff. So just, I don't know, either cut it out or you're gonna have a hard time clearing it. But once you get it, dog. Once you see a gap like this much between it, like from right here to here, you're gonna want to get under there and use your body weight instead of sitting here trying to pull it like with your arms out from under the car. You're gonna have to actually get in under there and lay down and pull this thing with your weight, because it's so, like, it was so difficult. And don't be a me, take your bolts out if you can, because this one right here is gonna be a pain. And no way, I think it's this one, I don't remember. It's one of these, you'll notice, because it'll be right here under this heat shield. And make sure you take that out. If you don't, you're gonna have to rip through the metal right there. I'm about to rebuild everything. I'm replacing the clutch, the flywheel, this bearing in here, the throwout bearing, and then I'm gonna do the little shaft thing right here, do my shifter bearing up in there, and hopefully I can put this shit back together eventually. But I got the main thing done.
Alright, so just a quick little update. When you go to take your transmission off, you get it comfortable to where you're going to work on it. I'd recommend cleaning the inside of this really good, sanding down any imperfections, hitting it with some type of spray. Brake cleaner works good, just don't overdo it. And then notice this little spring in here. There's a little not pilot bearing, it's some clutch fork, and you're gonna want to replace that if it's got marks and it looks old. But I had to order a new one, so I'm not gonna be doing that at this moment. But before you get to that, you're gonna have to take this thing off, and pretty much it'll sit on there like this, and it'll be in that spring, and you just move the spring out the way, pull it out kind of sideways like I showed you. Then you're gonna take the spring off, go through the back here. You can kind of hit it with something to get it to come out, and then you just do the opposite to put it back in. You take like a little tiny socket and a hammer and just kind of tap it evenly around, and then make sure you clean this up, get all this stuff off right here, like sand it down or whatever if it feels rough. And then you're gonna install your clutch fork bearing, whatever, and then put this back on with the spring just like that, facing that way is how it goes. And then put that back in, and then this thing will sit inside of this. You see the little, kind of has marks on it already. I think that's from this part. So you'll put that on, and it'll go on this part. You can see the old surface where it was, and it just slides in like that. And once you have that done, you know, you can clean your gearbox somehow if you want to like run some fluids through it or something. Check over. See, I'm gonna have to replace this. That's your guibo, drive shaft flex joint, and you can replace this if you want. I'm just gonna leave that though. You know, check your gears if you want while you're here. Take it to a shop or something, and put everything back. Then you're gonna want to go back and install it and make sure everything is lined up. If you have weird little things, like if you have a swapped car, it'll be weird stuff. That's pretty much it. And then once you get your clutch and your flywheel on and all that, which I'll show you here in a second, you will be good to go. Alright, you're gonna want to take your flywheel bolts off cross pattern, so like these, and then you're gonna go these, and you know, just do it like that. You don't want to go around because it'll unevenly distribute it. You don't want to fuck up any of your threads too. Even though I'm replacing all this, the threads go, I'm pretty sure, all the way through. So you know, and these come pretty Loctite, so there's gonna be some shit, but it's not metal, so don't worry about it. But most of these will come pretty Loctite. So wheel bearing grease, I don't know how great it's gonna work, but I got some of that. And your anti-seize you're gonna use for certain components like this and such, and you're gonna want to apply a little bit in there on that thing, and just do it right so you don't gotta go do it again. But next, I'm gonna go ahead and install the pilot bearing back in, and you just take it, kind of tap it in with a hammer right there. It's gonna go in that little hole up in there. I'll show y'all in a minute, but you're just gonna kind of want to tap it in and then press it in all the way after. Alright, Chad, I got the flywheel off. I got my little shield. This thing is probably going to try to come off on y'all, so make sure when you put it back on, you put it in the right holes here. And
that's flush behind this. You have to kind of get it behind this lip, push it down, stick it in that one, and then there's another one right here. And with this starter, there's bolt holes right here that your transmission bolts will go in, but you have to line it up and kind of pull it through and put your bolts in at the same time you got your transmission in. So it's going to be kind of hard when you go to put the transmission back in, because you're going to have to line everything up with your flywheel. You're going to have to somehow get that to stay without it moving this around, because if you try to put this in here, it'll move this around. So I'd get like maybe a zip tie or something for the time being, and like maybe put it somewhere. Make sure all your wires are out the way and everything kind of looks like this. And I'd recommend removing this while you're at it and cutting this, because that's what will be in your way when you take it out and possibly when you go to put it back in. I have not tried to put it back in yet, but I believe that's going to be in my way. But make sure you clean out your bolt holes. To get there's a little bearing in here, pack it with grease, or if you have a pilot bearing puller, you can do that and such. But mine just fell out, which I think that's one of my problems, because I don't think it's supposed to do that. Mine just fell out when I took my clutch off. I didn't even take the flywheel off, it fell out. But yeah, you're gonna want to press that back in with a new one, and make sure that you clean everything. Clean your threads out in here with like a little tiny wire brusher, screwdriver or something. And another thing is impact. So if you're gonna use an impact to take your bolts out, do not use an impact on your clutch bolts, the little tiny bolts right here with the Allen heads. Do not use a impact for those. And I'd only really use an impact for your flywheel bolts, and nothing really in the beginning of the clutch process. You can use them for your transmission bolts and things like that, but I would not recommend using them for smaller clutch bolts, because you will strip them or break them and you're going to have a horrible time. Alright, so I went ahead and installed the pilot bearing. What I did was you just kind of grab a socket. You can start it with your hand, you know, tap it with the hammer a couple times and get you a little socket that'll fit on it all the way, not just the inside, because you don't want to just press that bearing in, that'll break it apart. But you know, get you that, then tap around the socket evenly with a hammer, and then it can only go so far, so you're good there. Then get you some brake parts cleaner, you know, clean your threads out, then get ready to install your flywheel. But make sure that your things are on correctly and it's on there correctly. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys something real quick. So this is my old clutch, and this is an example of a sprung clutch. So it'll have springs like that, and your flywheel will look different, and you'll use smaller bolts. For the newer one that I got, it's a dual mass flywheel, and what it does is it moves kind of independently. It moves two separately. This just is one movement together. So, and you'll notice that the disc is kind of different, and I think they tell you to install it like this. This is how it'll look, and then they want it to come like this. So it'll say that it's with the protruding side facing outwards, and this is kind of what they mean. Some people think by that's what it means, but it's really that. You can tell by like the little grooves or whatever. And you'll put the flywheel on, put that on like that, put your disc on your plate, and make sure that when you go to tighten your bolts though, you do them cross pattern slowly. And make sure you look up your torque to spec foot-pounds if you want to be correct about it, which I'm going to do it slowly. I'm going to do it in like 5 segments, so like 24, 36,
56, 64, 72, and then I think it's 89 or something. Just kind of do it cross pattern. Don't just tighten one down, because you're gonna end up warping or something's not gonna go on right. Same thing with your these. And if you have an alignment tool, once you get all this put on and tightened down, you'll put that on top, and your bolts will go in those. Just tighten them slightly, not all the way. And if you have an alignment tool, that's when you can stick it all the way into the pilot bearing and it'll touch, and then you just kind of center it. And once you feel like it's centered, take it out, hold it in place kind of by maybe tighten the 1 or 2 bolts down, then pull your alignment tool out, and then go and tighten down all your bolts to the right torque. And then once you do that, you know, finish whatever you have to do inside your transmission, put your transmission back together, your bolts, and make sure you do like I just said, cross pattern one at a time, slowly, you know, and then put everything else that you know you took off, put it back together, and pretty much see what happens. All right, guys, so I put my little plate on with my disc behind it and all that, and next I'm just gonna clean up around this, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. When you get to this point, put your bolts in all around evenly and screw them in like maybe 2 to 3 turns. That way you'll hold this down and you can stick your alignment tool in here, and you just push it in until it clicks in. You have to wiggle it a little bit. See, there it goes. And then you're gonna align it. Tighten your bolts down. Make sure that it's lined up how you like it, as such. And you're gonna tighten your bolts slowly. Take your tool out until it's staying in place and doesn't move. And make sure it's even with these teeth here. You want this to be in the middle of this. So, and then you're gonna torque your bolts down. And if you like this video, leave a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions or any questions, let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. I have a lot of content coming this year and next year. I got a lot of stuff planned, and this car is gonna be there a lot for it. It's my little drift car. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure tell me down in the comments, and appreciate y'all for watching.